First and now is the official BC Lions podcast. Matt Baker, Nik Kowalski. We're still racking up those air miles, Nick. Yeah. Since we last spoke to our great listeners here, we've returned from Hamilton. We've gone to Victoria and back. It's the off-season? What off-season?
Ferry miles, too. Took the ferry over.
Yeah, I guess we didn't fly. The secret's out. We were on BC ferries. But
I liked it, though. We got, on the way back, we got the Sunset Ferry. You got the beautiful views. But
well, I'll tell you what, I mean, for those in Greater Vancouver, it was quite foggy earlier in the week, but that didn't really affect our trip over there. It was I was hanging out with Rick Campbell up on the high deck, getting some fresh air and just kind of looking out, going past, I think it was Galliano Island and all the scenery there. And we were just kind of remarking to each other at the time. Water's not choppy at all. It's a beautiful day. And yeah, I know the license plates say beautiful British Columbia. Taking a trip across on the ferry kind of epitomizes that slogan. So
yeah, and you had the blue skies in Victoria too.
Yeah, it was great. Was that your first time in Victoria? Second. Yeah. I'd been several times. Hadn't been in about 6 or 7 years, I don't think. But hadn't really spent much time in the downtown part, though. So we stayed right down by the harbor, kind of right around the corner from the Empress. About a 5-minute drive, not even, to Royal Athletic Park, which is where Touchdown Pacific is going to be taking place. Yes, try not to bury the lead here. We were there to officially announce Touchdown Pacific, Lions and Red Blacks, in our provincial capital on August the 31st, the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. So that'll certainly add a little spice to Labor Day weekend, right? But I was very impressed, Nick, with the turnout. Pretty much every major media outlet, television, radio, online, newspaper, podcast. There was even a podcast there, Capital Daily. They have a good podcast, which I've been on before. The city is very, very excited for this. That was my big takeaway.
I think the country is too at this point too. You look on online, positive reaction throughout pretty much every social platform you look at, and I don't know how you couldn't have a positive reaction. It's something that people have been wishing for a while. It kicks off Labor Day weekend, which is kind of another wrinkle that's thrown into the game. And then I think it still caught some people by surprise. Like when we put out the advisory on Monday and Tuesday, I thought most people kind of guessed. Some people had training camp guesses. Some people said, oh, no, if it's not training camp, then it's going to be a preseason game.
Yeah.
But nope, a full-on regular season game. And I think it caught some, sorry, Mr. Pearson and Mr. Bagiogo and more for asking me, but I couldn't reveal the secret. So I think they were caught off guard too.
Well, sorry, Michael Couture reached out to me, and I was like, as a joke, I said, yeah, the team's moving. So
relocation.
Look for an apartment. I know you just moved home to the Lower Mainland, but he didn't buy in. He didn't take the bait. He didn't buy into my joke.
The Kootenays, right? Too, not even the island.
Yeah, yeah, Eastern BC.
That'd be a funny prank.
Hey, yeah. The Eastern BC is beautiful, though. Let's not make light of it, but. Yeah, and you feel great for the fans. I mean, think of our pal Dave Wardle. That's just one example of someone who every home game gets on the ferry, pays the fees, comes on over, goes back. The 4 o'clock games made it easier for them to go in and out without getting a hotel, but a lot of times you don't want to do it all in one day. It's kind of a nice reward for them to get the opportunity to see a game.
Yeah, and we were saying, too, that it's not going to just be BC Lions fans that hopefully are making that trip in August, but across the country, right? We heard Dwayne Vinot talk about that they're planning to make this a mini Grey Cup, have it a little festival, right? Couple days. The teams will obviously get there earlier, so the wheels are already spinning kind of in my head for different content ideas. I know you see in the Touchdown Atlantic series, they've done lobster fishing and all of that stuff, right? And past the content. So I'm sure we can manage to do something along those lines. The Victoria Royals, the hockey team, they might be in training camp around that time. So maybe some that's
right.
collab there. So
if that season starts in the middle of September, then they're for sure in. Yeah.
So we might get Dominique Grimes on the ice or something like that. We got to start brainstorming ideas. Is kind of what I'm getting at for this weekend.
Well, we're expecting to announce the full schedule, I believe, next week, middle of next week. We're recording this on a Friday, on the 1st of December. Happy birthday to my sister, Morgan. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday.
I think she's listening. Sometimes she consumes all the Lions content she can. But Yeah, so we're about maybe less than a week, hopefully, of announcing the schedule. Maybe if there's a bye week before, maybe we get Dom Rhymes or someone at a Harbor Cats game throwing out the first pitch.
I mean, based on the experiences I've had in Victoria, count me in for another week if we can do it. I love going there.
It was outstanding. Order yourself a baby Guinness or something. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Got some PTSD now.
Yeah. Hey, and we had to have our fun. And
yeah, you can have fun in Victoria, I think, for all ages too, right? There's so many good restaurants. There's so many good bars that we got to experience a bit of over the weekend. I mean, the views speak for itself. So you got to come to this game if you're listening and you're on the fence about maybe coming across the country even, or if you're from Ontario, if you're a Red Blacks fan tuning in, you got to make this trip.
Heard from our pal AJ Jakubek, TSN Radio, voice of the Red Blacks. He's jacked up for this. So
yeah, how can he not be?
Yeah. And I know it's only December, but that's going to be here in no time. So yeah, it adds a whole new layer of excitement. We're excited every season, but when you consider Grey Cups in Vancouver, this adds a whole new layer to it as well. So the BC Lions, according to our records, the only neutral site game they've played in a regular season was at the University of Guelph. Remember when the Tiger Cats were at Guelph for a year or two?
2014?
When Tim Hortons Field was being built? Yes. I think it was 2013. Maybe was it 2 years or just one?
I think it was one season. They had the checkered end zone.
Yeah. So there you go. First home neutral site game as far as we can tell in BC Lions history. We're going to talk more about Touchdown Pacific in a few moments with Julio Caravetta. Also get his thoughts on an interesting list pending of Lions' possible free agents. Never too early to start talking about priorities and filling out the roster. But our first chance to talk to you folks, since we got back from the Grey Cup, go back and listen to our shows from Hamilton and the Lions Den. We heard from Matthew Betts, Sean White, Neil McAvoy. Great Lions Den party. That was great to be a part of again. I know we were still kind of down over not getting the opportunity to be playing in the Grey Cup, but we made the most of it, and I would say the city of Hamilton did a pretty darn good job. I mean, you and I were both there in 2021 when it was scaled back, and you found some stuff to do that year, but this was an awesome Grey Cup, I thought.
Yeah, if you were there in 2021 and you were wondering why Hamilton got it again in 2023, and the reasoning was to get that full Grey Cup experience, and if you came back in 2023, you definitely saw what that full Grey Cup experience was. The convention center. We last recorded on Saturday, right? Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
That Saturday night got crazy in the entire convention center building. There are people everywhere. Really good time, and then obviously on Sunday, the game was lived up to the hype too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. More often than not, you're going to get a great Grey Cup, and upsets are more frequent in Grey Cups compared to other sporting championships, I find. And maybe it just goes to show you that the regular season records aren't quite indicative of how close teams are to one another. Because remember, let's take it back to division final weekend. I think it was Farhan we talked to on BC Lions on Tap, and he said, listen, there's 3 great teams playing this weekend. Montreal's the 4th team. And then they go and do what they do to the Toronto Argonauts on the strength of their defense, but that's fine. They got it done. Toronto 16-2, going to be saying what if for a long time, I think. And then, and even, you and I were kind of talking on those episodes from the Lions and saying, okay, well, I would have been surprised if you told me Montreal was going to pull that off. But hey, they did it. They traded punches. They made a couple big defensive plays, an interception in the end zone, a complete team win, and Cody Fajardo ultimately silencing his doubters.
Yeah, a lot of good storylines, like you just mentioned with Fajardo. His second Grey Cup, actually, right? Because he won one with the Argos.
That's right, 2017.
Yep. But it was first as a starter. I mean, you got to be happy for him. Jason Moss too, right? They both kind of.
Yep.
It's been well documented what happened in Saskatchewan, and where they ended up together in Montreal to finish the job. And just it's such a wild past 2 seasons where it almost completed the deja vu, right? Where we beat Calgary in the West Semi, lose to Winnipeg at Winnipeg in the West Final, and then Winnipeg gets upset. It was. Yeah, in that aspect, it just completed the deja vu for me. A last-second upset, too.
Yeah. Yeah, 12 seconds, 11 seconds.
That came right
whatever
to
it was.
yeah, to our seats. Yeah,
right in that corner. Yeah,
right around the Bombers family section, which was very interesting to be in at that point.
A couple guys who were kind of chirping us all game. They left pretty quickly, I found.
They're coming next year, though. I know I've talked to Parker Hall yesterday, who is one of our events guys here, and Parker has been in contact with them, and they enjoyed our company, they said.
Okay, good.
And they will be attending Grey Cup 2024. So
See?
they're already in contact with the Lions.
There you go. We've done our part.
Our networking, yeah.
I love it. Congrats, to the Alouettes and to Winnipeg on a great season again. Still the team to knock off in this West Division. That's a 4th straight Grey Cup appearance for them, but hopefully next year's an entirely different outcome, although we can't just think about Winnipeg. You look at Saskatchewan hiring Corey Mace. That's a good hire. Yeah, it's only a head coach hire, but they get a healthy Trevor Harris back. Anything can happen. Calgary's not just going to run away and hide, and Edmonton improved in the second half of the year. So
Trey Ford getting a training camp under his belt as QB1.
Exactly. So I kind of feel it's going to be is more competitive in the division than it was these last couple years, but we trust our brain trust, so to speak. And lastly, before we bring in Julio, a pleasant surprise for me. I didn't realize we were going on the field for Green Day.
I was told it, I think the day of.
Yeah.
I think it was asked, and I said yes. I thought, yeah, it would be cool, but
Carolyn Cody,
became really cool.
Carolyn Cody, our trusted marketing and business ops director, came to my seat and handed me a wristband. I was like, "Oh, what's this? It's for Green Day." Oh, that's pretty cool.
I knew at that point.
Awesome.
You didn't know it.
Oh, and that's fine. It turned out to be a very, very pleasant surprise. 4 songs, 3 classics, 1 new one, and that was the highlight of the night for me.
I was standing beside Sean White, was to my left too, and when we say at the front, we were at the very front, as close as you can be. So I when the lead singer came out onto like that little kind of square box.
Billy Joe Armstrong,
he was beside us at that point. It was kind of it's funny. It was
just walked right by.
It was kind of like rush standing when we went on the field. And what I did is I kind of mingled on my own for a bit. And I kind of went more toward the back. And then I saw those big BC Lions pom poms we were all wearing. I saw a couple of them right at the front. One was Sean White, one was Jordan, one was Parker. So I kind of like slithered my way through, and then I ultimately got beside Sean, and I don't regret that move at all. Kind of slithered my way through, but got to the front.
Yeah, it's very good. Hey, good on the CFL for landing such an outstanding act.
All week, too. The music, A+. Carrie Underwood, Shaggy, A+.
Did you get to Carrie Underwood?
No, I should have, though. I regret it.
Well, you mentioned how busy it was on the Saturday. Maybe a reason it wasn't as busy on Friday, because a lot of people were at Carrie Underwood, right? Which was right across the street, pretty much.
They're still downtown Hamilton, right? It's still a win.
Yeah. So, yeah, excellent festival, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what Amar Doman and everyone on the committee, they're going to be eyeing something big. Not just for halftime, but maybe for
everything, right? The bar has been set, and
there's going to be
anything less than greatness here, yeah.
It's going to be a good Grey Cup, yeah. All right, to talk more about that and about Touchdown Pacific and the Lions' pending free agents, we'll bring in Julio Caravetta, voice of the squad, 25 years of excellence on the broadcast side. Julio, coming up. All right, we've caught him off the ice, his very competitive beer league hockey game. We're learning new things about Julio every day. Well, I knew he was a hockey player, but I didn't know he was this committed.
I am not a hockey player. I am a football player who tries to skate and play hockey.
Well, let's expand on it. It has to be a good way to stay active and hang out with some buddies, right?
Yeah, no, I'm really lucky. I found a group of guys that they're all really good guys, and it's not even a league. It's just a group of guys that get together a couple of times a week and skate, and it's just such a great workout for me. And where I am in my age, anything that I can do to get my heart rate up the way I can without hurting my knees and back the way like say running or anything else does. I jump all over it. So yeah, and you're right. Most importantly is like, one of the things that you miss as an athlete is that camaraderie that you get in a locker room. Doesn't matter what level, but just when you got a good group of people that all have shared interests. It's a lot of fun.
So what's your role on the ice, Julio? Are we talking like top six forward, defensive D-man, enforcer? Like, what do we got here?
I just go up and down the wing, buddy, and hope that someone puts the puck on my stick. That's about it. Like I said, I can't play defense. I'm not the greatest backward skater, but I can skate forward pretty good. So I just try to go up and down and skate as hard as I can and just try to keep myself in shape.
Very good. Any role you can play just on the football field, just like on the football field. Switching from the ice to the gridiron, which is where we would start normally. Big news of the week, made it official. Nik and I were over there. Victoria touchdown Pacific. The BC Lions going to the provincial capital August 31st against Ottawa. Your reaction, how exciting is it?
Yeah, I was thrilled. I mean, obviously when the news of the announcement was coming down the pike, I was like everybody else. I was waiting to find out what it was going to be, and I initially thought it was going to be preseason. So I had a lot of people calling me saying, "Oh, what are they going to do?" I said, "Well, I think it's going to be a preseason." But then when I realized that Randy Ambrosie was going to be there, I thought maybe this is a little bit bigger than maybe just a preseason game. So I just love it. We have such a great fan base over on the island, and to be able to go over there and play a game for them, I think is fantastic. And I just agree with what the commissioner said and with what Amar Doman said about growing the game and taking it to different parts of the province. I'm a big fan of that, and I spend a lot of time in Victoria. My wife's parents and family are all from the island, so I spend quite a bit of time over there, and I know how great the fans are over there. So this is going to be a great experience for the Lions and for the league to go out and be able to expose the game to the people on the island.
And you would have done a couple training camps over on the island, correct?
Yeah, we did Courtney Comac, and they were really successful, right? Like they were, the fans were great. And again, I just thought it was such a positive experience, but now to be able to go into Victoria and do it. And I think too, and I know I asked you this, Matt, yesterday about the idea about, and I know it's still early, about the Lions and when they're going to go over there, or when Ottawa will go over there. I know there's probably going to be a little bit of prelim to that. Like I'm sure the teams are going to be there a couple of days earlier so that the fans, I think, can enjoy seeing the practices and seeing what goes on behind the scenes of a CFL practice. So hopefully that works out and the teams are able to do that, because I think it'd be a great bonus for the fans over there.
Yeah, and you keep hearing the word festival. I know Dwayne, team president, mentioned that a couple times at the event. Yeah, I would imagine maybe not necessarily the whole week, but maybe 2 or 3 days. So that'll be even more exciting. Hey, before we let Nik jump back in here, one of the things I keep thinking about is you look at all the professional sports leagues. National Hockey League just went to Sweden. The NFL has been experimenting in London for years now. Major League Baseball's had games in Europe and Japan. And this is the fact that the CFL has grown enough to play games in neutral site markets, meaningful games. That has to be good from a business perspective, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's just any time that you can expose the game to more people and get more eyeballs on it. It just, I just can't tell you enough how great an idea that is. And I know that the league is people talk about the, CFL 2.0 and the whole Europe thing and trying to, but if you don't try things like this, how do you expect to grow? Right. So I give full marks to the league and to the Lions and to everybody across the CFL that try these kinds of endeavors, because again, you're just talking about trying to grow the game however you can. And that exposure on the island, or whether it's in Halifax or whatever other market they decide to go, it's a plus. And so I'm just, like you say, I'm all for it. No matter where they go, anytime you go into markets that they're not have been in, then I'm all in.
And Julia, we were talking earlier about, at least from my perspective, that was only my second time ever on the island before, and both times now I've had a ton of fun. The views are incredible, but just from your perspective over your life going to the island, and we'll use this as a pitch to not only people in BC, but people across the country are considering coming to this game. But just talk about how much activities there are to do on the island.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great, obviously it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. When you think about that inner harbor and how beautiful it is, and the Empress Hotel and all the stuff that's downtown. But there's just a real good vibe there. They love their sports. They support their sports. Their university sports are great. They have so many, world-class facilities there, golf courses, all that kind of stuff. And I just think that there's a ton of really, really great sports fans there. And I think one of the great things that the Lions did and Amar Doman did was, change those games on home games so that the fans from the island can make it over to the mainland. So, I mean, I can't say enough about the city and how beautiful it is. And anybody who's going to make the trip over there for the first time is not going to be disappointed. And I'm sure that for the players on both teams, some of the players that, play for the Lions that maybe don't get a chance to go over there and haven't been over there, they're going to get exposed to something that I'm sure they're going to be saying, wow, I should have come over here earlier, because they're not going to be disappointed with the city. It's just a fantastic vibe. And as I said, it's not huge. It's, you can do and go to a lot of different places. I just, like I say, I'm a big fan of the city. I think it's just gorgeous.
I know one other aspect I think some players like too is that this game's going to be played on natural grass and not turf, right? So I guess from
old school, baby.
Yeah, that's what you would have preferred back in the day.
Yeah, oh yeah. The players, I'm sure, are going to be thrilled with that, right? There's just nothing compares to playing football on natural grass, especially at that time of the year where it should be perfect, right? The conditions should be perfect, and I'm sure the players are going to be thrilled with that, because you don't see very many grass fields anymore. I know the Lions, obviously, they have their practice facility where they have both, but as far as playing a game, I'm sure that they're going to be thrilled with that opportunity.
Yep, and a lot of work has to get done before the ball gets put on the tee there at Royal Athletic Park. Grey Cup's about almost 2 weeks removed, and before you know it, we'll be getting into the meat of the offseason. This Lions team, like everybody else, has some important decisions to make. You imagine they're going to keep building, try to fill some areas of need, do everything in our power to be in the Grey Cup at home 1 year from now. But looking at this list of Lions free agents, don't think we'll necessarily have to go one by one. We don't have that kind of time, but some of the big names at the top, you've got Matthew Betts, Ben Haladic, Javon Katoy, just to name a few, Alexander Hollins. Put your GM hat on. What are you prioritizing here when it comes to keeping this crop together?
Well, here's the reality too, though, Matt. Like, just as last year, obviously losing in the Western Final, they're close, right? They're close. And so I know Neil and Rick and Ryan are there's gonna have to be some tough decisions, because that happens every offseason. You're gonna have players that have probably outperformed their contracts and need raises. And there's going to be other tough decisions where there are players that maybe have come to the end of their contract and aren't going to get the kind of offer that they want from the Lions. So as far as prioritizing, like Ben Haladic, I think is a guy that, deserves a raise. The guy's, I think, had an unbelievable year, and in any other situation or any other year, I think he would have walked away with some serious hardware. He had that kind of a year. And then Javon Katoy had a career year. You want to keep him. He's a local kid, and so is Ben. So that's hopefully going to play to the Lions' advantage. And then you look at Matthew Betts. You think the year that he's had, he's comfortable here. I know he said he's very happy here. He loves the city. So, but I also realize too that, there are going to be, some decisions made. Like I think about, Hatcher and TJ Lee, right? Like those guys had significant injuries in the playoffs, and you hope that their rehabs go well, but if it's an Achilles injury, you don't know, what the timeline is going to be on that, right? So they're going to have to fill those holes. And obviously, I thought when you guys announced the Stove Richardson signing, I thought, man, oh man, if he can come back healthy, that is a massive, massive hole that he can fill. Because I think as an interior defensive lineman, he's a guy that, when they signed him as a free agent, he was number one on their list, and unfortunately was hurt and never really played. But if he comes back healthy, man, oh man, is he going to help that defense? So, again, I just want to reiterate, I know there's going to be some tough decisions, but at the same time, this is a team that is close. So you want to maybe have those one or two, maybe three positions that you may try to go out and upgrade. But at the same time, a lot of the players that were here are good players, and you hope to keep that core group together because they have done a very, very good job. And I know Rick and Neil and Ryan are big, big, big proponents of this. Is that team chemistry and that kind of cohesion that you need off the field, that players need to fit in order to have success. And they've really done a good job of having a lot of good character people who are all in it for the same goal. So hopefully a lot of those guys come back as well.
Well, Matt and I were even saying earlier, I think every year you kind of see that list at the start and it's 22 names and you're thinking, oh no, like how are we going to be able to compete even, right? But at the end of the day, like Vernon Adams Jr. is under contract. Both their offensive tackles are under contract. Both their D tackles are under contract. So it's it's not like Winnipeg where all five of their offensive linemen are free agents, right? I think every season you see fan bases worried no matter what the situation is with their free agents, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's just the part of the game, right? That's the part of the CFL that every fan base needs to, wrap their head about. It can be frustrating, I think, as a fan, because you kind of get, you have a good team and, you get attached to some of the players, then they're free agents and you can't blame them because that's the business part of it, right? That you can't blame certain guys for going out and getting more money because someone's willing to do that. In the end, it is a business, and these guys have to take care of themselves because the window as a player is very small. But you're absolutely right, Nick, that the core group there, they have a very good core group. And most importantly, in this league, the way that Vernon played, and they have a quarterback to build around, right? And there are still a lot of really good, significant pieces that are still there that are going to make a huge impact on this team. So again, you go out, you prioritize, you know what you need, you know what you want. And now it's up to Neil and Rick and Ryan to put all those pieces of the puzzle together and hopefully come up with a championship team.
And lastly, for me, Julio, the unfinished business being close factor in your experiences back in the day with teammates and all that, is that something that can work in the Lions' favor for retaining some guys?
Yeah, I think one of the things that really helps that, Nick, is that I think players, like, they're just like all of us. Like, when you have a great work environment, right, and you've created a culture that they want to be a part of, that accounts for something as a player, right? When you feel good about the locker room and the chemistry and where the team is going, like, that is, I think, one of the things that Winnipeg has been able to do and has been able to keep that team intact for so long, is because they're selling not only a great football team, but a championship culture. And sometimes players will take a little bit less, knowing that they're going to be in the playoffs and knowing that they're going to have a chance to compete for a championship. So that's, I think, the kind of culture that they've created here. So you're going to see guys, when you start chasing a 5,000, or, I know it's 5,000 is still a lot of money, but in the big scheme of things, sometimes if you move and have to go somewhere else and just trying to think that the grass is always greener on the other side, sometimes it hurts you, right? There's a lot of really good pieces here that I think that if you're a player, you're going to be attracted to this situation. Anybody around the league knows that this team is close, and that they're going to be competing for a championship here in the next few years. So it's going to be a great destination for a lot of free agents that are looking, for a chance to win a championship.
And last one for me, one of the reasons that the Montreal Alouettes are eating poutine out of the Grey Cup, Canadian content.
Yeah.
Look no further than our friend Tyson Philpott scoring the winning touchdown. That's just one example. This Lions Canadian content is as strong as it's been in a long time, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, no question, Maddie. That's a great point. And again, that's how championship teams are built, right? Your core Canadians, are the ones that really kind of pave the way, right? When you have that kind of foundation, and they do have that kind of Justin McInnes, Javon Cotoy, Haladic, Lecumbo, Adrian Green. I could keep going on and on and on, right? Like there's a lot of really, really good pieces there. And when you have that depth, see, the one thing you got to have is the depth. And when you do create that, because football is a physical sport, you're going to have injuries. But when you can survive those injuries because you have depth, and especially at the Canadian spots, that's when you're making serious runs. And the Lions are right there. They have that Canadian content, they have that depth, and I'm sure they're going to try to continue to do that and build it through the draft. So it is something that has really, I think, they've been on the right side of the last few years.
Well said as always, my friend. Thanks for taking time after your
Thanks, buddy.
big hockey game. I hope there was no penalty minutes this time.
No, there's no
Never.
penalties.
So he's a Lady Bing trophy guy. That's good.
Yes, exactly right.
All right. Listen, if we don't chat with you, I'm sure we will though. But happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you and yours, and we'll be doing this again shortly.
Yeah, right back at you guys. Happy holidays, and thank you for all you guys do during the season and how you help us with what we do. You guys are first class, the best in the league. So thanks very much, boys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Giulio, and congrats again. 25 years.
25 years. Yeah, he's not young anymore. 25 years. Wow.
Can you tell?
You got the Santa beard growing in. You got the Matt Dunnigan going now. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Congrats, bud.
All right, boys. Cheers. Take care.
Great stuff as always with Julio Caravetta. 25 years in the booth, and he's back for at least several more. He's Tom Brady. He's not retiring anytime soon. But Julio and Moj will be back on AM 730, the Lions Audio Network. We touched on a few of the key guys that have to get signed here. But there's also some important guys locked in, starting with Vernon Adams Jr.
Yeah, Kevin QB1 back. I put that out on Wednesday after the announcement about Touchdown Pacific. Is that, there's the Grey Cups here in 2024. There's a huge marquee game now in Touchdown Pacific, and you have a star quarterback to go with that team. So that alone makes BC an intriguing and I think fun team to root for, right?
And a couple guys he's going to be throwing to. This is going to be intriguing for me once camp gets going. Dom Rhymes. Injuries kind of hindered his production, but he's there when called upon. If healthy, which we expect he will be, I'm expecting another bounce back year from number 19.
Yeah, I think you gotta put your eggs down in his Rams basket for 2024. And then the good thing is we kind of found his clone last year in Justin McInnes, who is also going to be back for the season.
Well, McInnes, one of 4 Lions receivers who had a career high. The others were Hatcher, Hollins, and Cotoy. 690 yards for McInnes, a guy who always there, good second and long guy. Extending drives, and and it's a ratio advantage as well, right?
Yeah, he was massive this season.
Massive? Yeah, he was.
Massive season.
Yeah, massive.
You could say.
Literally massive. Offensive line. There was an improved unit this year. 4 times the offensive line got the PFF weekly honor roll. And each time, the highest graded was Jarrell Broxton, first full season at left tackle, and he was the team's nominee for most outstanding lineman. The other bookend, Mr. Kent Perkins, I believe is going to start year 2 of a 3-year extension he signed last year. So the bookends up front, huge.
And I think if you talk to a lot of CFL offensive line experts or people who actually follow the position, they'll tell you Jarrell Broxton probably the best left tackle in the West Division.
Yeah.
The All-Star award kind of seems to be a little predetermined at this point. I'll just leave it at that. But Jarrell Broxton not getting an All-Star nod. I think you just watch him play and you can tell that he's one of the top at his position.
Yeah, it's funny how the voters, once they make up their mind on something, that's just, yeah, you're right. We'll leave it at that. Woody Barron, Josh Banks switching to the defense. Both of these players, and again, we've said this a few times on this podcast with these guys, doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but these are very important pieces. And then, yeah, again, you add Stove Richardson hopefully into this mix, and that's going to be a key area.
Huge, yeah. And you got guys like, we saw it last year with guys like Josh Archibald and Adrian Green who are back, but I'm more getting into their second year development. So you look at a guy like Francis Bemi, Nathan Cherry also coming back too after his surgery in the offseason. So a lot of guys to be signed at the D-line position, obviously, with Matthew Betts headlining that, and Sione Tuihema also a free agent, but you got a lot of guys already back here under contract.
In the secondary, TJ Lee undergoing successful Achilles surgery. That is someone who is currently under contract for 2024, and we'll see what the thought process there, see what the rehab tells us. But likely the best corner in the league this year, another All-Star, Gary Peters. And this is a guy that just keeps getting better with age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so TJ and Gary, don't know when TJ will be back this season, but having them back is huge, not only on the field, but off the field too. They're two of the veteran guys in here that players look up to for advice, how to handle themselves, everything, right? So Manny Rugamba also now back in that backfield too this season. So, and they got Adrian Green, like we said, also back as a safety. So defensive backfield already looks pretty solid as of December 1st.
And someone we've talked about a bit as well on this episode, Sean White, and talking to him, just making conversation in Victoria. This is a guy who's rejuvenated. This is not a player who's going to be retiring anytime soon. And CFL best 94.3 field goal percentage. For our money, with all due respect to Mr. Javon Leake, very deserving of the most outstanding special teams award, and not having to worry about your kicking game is indeed a huge luxury.
Mr. Automatic, and we have Wally Buono to thank for this too. Hey?
That's right, yeah.
Sean saying that he had a conversation with Coach Wally Buono about whether he should keep pursuing football at this time of his life or go into post-football with firefighting and everything Sean's been involved with. And Wally said, hey, play football as long as you can. So Sean's used that as a inspiration to keep playing football. And I mean, it's a 2024 Grey Cup in Vancouver, Touchdown Pacific. He's been taught. We were with him all week, and you can just tell how excited he is for all these events coming up.
Keon Hatcher, we mentioned TJ Lee. Keon also having a successful Achilles surgery. Bit of a different situation because that is someone who will need a contract, and we expect him to make a full recovery when healthy. One of the better targets in this league, second in CFL receiving yards, trailing only Hamilton's Tim White. You hope this rehab goes smooth, and then maybe something gets determined there.
I don't think it's breaking news that Keon's at the top of the wish list on the free agent list. Just a complete deserving of his all-star season. Like you said, one of the best in the league, and happy to hear everything went successful for those guys.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers is coming back in less than 80 days after tearing it. So, hey,
you calling your shot with them too?
No, I would not advise Keon. Keon has until camp to really start evaluating when he wants to come back. And yeah, that whole Aaron Rodgers situation seems a little crazy to me. But hey, it's his body. He can
doctors.
Do whatever he wants. Yeah, we just play them on TV. Before we talk a little bit about some other sports excitement going on, Liam and yourself have been taking the lead on another edition of Arrow Up. What do our fans have to look forward to?
Yes, this is my baby. It's such an exciting project to be working on. We're going to be dropping it on January 1st, so New Year's Day. We're well into the process of editing it. We've conducted at this point 29 interviews, and these range from players to coaches. We got media involved this year, so a big shout out to everyone who participated in the interviews this year. Everyone's always been super easy to work with, and willing to participate in this, so that's always well appreciated. But we shot all season with this project in mind, and that includes saving some kind of behind the scenes locker room footage, attending several team events that have not been previously documented.
Is there Foursquare involved?
Oh, you betcha.
All right.
You betcha. So Foursquare is that's dropping in the June one.
At least you weren't filming when I played. Although you know what? I held my own.
Did you really?
I was up against David Menard, and I think it was Rhymes that, Baker, you've got some good hand-eye going there. Yeah.
I don't think I saw this. Yeah. I'll take your word for it, though.
We kept it a secret for a reason. I didn't want to attract any content shooters. So,
but the plan right now is, yes, we're doing it again month by month thing. So June, July, August, September, and so forth. So 6 or 7 episodes, depending on how we decide to do the 2 playoff games. And then, every single Monday from January 1st up until free agency. And I can guarantee you it's going to be worth your watch. And just hope that everyone enjoys it and watch it, and also share it with your CFL friends.
Look forward to that, January 1st. Yeah, and just because we're in the off season doesn't mean the content has stopped. If you missed any of the Touchdown Pacific coverage, full YouTube press conference on our YouTube channel and at bclions.com. I wrote about Matthew Betts and his journey to becoming the most outstanding defensive player. You can find that as well as our aforementioned podcast episodes in Hamilton. Sean White, Neil McAvoy, Matthew Betts, all making appearances on the stage. So it is a great time of the year for sports. The National Football League starting to heat up. Once you hit December, you really start to know who the pretenders and the contenders are. Pac-12 championship, again, a few hours from now. We're recording this on Friday. It's Farhan Lalji and Lucas Lalji will be front and center.
Yeah.
They're there, yes. I was listening to an interview with Farhan on Donnie and Dolly, and he's there. Good for them. Oregon and Washington, who do you like?
I got to root with the Huskies. I've kind of become a Huskies guy since I moved out here. You guys have kind of all reeled me in.
I like to see the Huskies do well, but I don't know if this means anything, but something about the way they went down to the wire in the Apple Cup. I don't know. I thought they would kind of take the Cougars.
Well, I'm saying with my heart here
to the woodshed. I think Oregon's going to win. I hope I'm wrong, but have a feeling VA and Bola Combo are going to be celebrating tonight.
It's going to be a shootout, though. I'm excited for this. We're recording this 2.5 hours before kickoff. So right after this, I'm going to edit this podcast together, go make some nachos, sit on my couch, and enjoy this Friday night watching some Pac-12 football.
Allegiant Stadium, right?
Yep, in Vegas.
I just booked a trip to Vegas in March. Going to see the Canucks down there, and I'm going with my dad. I've told my dad we have to get a tour of Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah,
if it's not too...
The big Death Star?
Yeah, well, you're going to be going, right?
In February, I'll be there.
You going to the game?
I don't know.
You go check out the stadium.
That's kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But I want to see the stadium.
Yeah, Super Bowl week with Moj is an experience, as you know. So,
you doing anything on Sunday? Anything going on for you?
That's an interesting question. My goal is to watch as much of the 49ers and Eagles as I can. I say it like that because I have responsibilities. I have a wife and a young child, but I'm very much looking forward to this, Nick. We have a little breakfast with Santa event planned on Sunday at my dad's golf course in Richmond there. And then the idea is Niners-Eagles is in between, and then have a family function later in the afternoon. So it's going to be one of those things where I probably watch the first 3 quarters, and then sort of when I get to this other family function, I am going to be on my phone, maybe hiding somewhere.
Just go to the washroom. Take a long washroom break.
Say, I got a work call. I got to go outside. So
game of the year here.
Game of the year. But at the same time, I'm trying to approach it with an open mind. It's not the NFC Championship, but it could go a long way. Like the Niners need this one if they want the number 1 seed, right? They still have to make up another game on Philly after this. So, but the Eagles do have a tough schedule. They're in this gauntlet of the schedule. It is impressive how Philly's winning games. Look at Kansas City. I watched the first half of their game against Kansas City. I'm like, okay. Then I switched it to the Canuck game. turned it back. And I'm like, oh, Philly's ahead now in the fourth quarter. It's just what they do. They don't execute very well for a half. Look at it, same last week against Buffalo. But yeah, this is a tough spot for the Niners. The one thing that gives me confidence, though, people talk about the revenge factor. I'm not really sure how much that's going to play into it. Niners are the well-rested team. The schedule kind of gave them a bit of a break here. Last Thursday in Seattle, which I was lucky to be there. First ever Thanksgiving game I was at live. Very cool. The Niners ate the turkey on the field, something that we wanted to do in the Gravy Bowl, but just didn't happen. But it was kind of cool to be there for that. That's the one thing I look at. Maybe the Niners will be a little more rested here. Eagles dealing with some injuries, but this is going to be fun to watch. I'm just excited to watch it and kind of just see how they stack up after last year. Didn't go well for them, but certain things happened that are out of our control. But yeah, it's the game of the year. You're right. What do you think?
Well, me too. I got no dog in the fight, so I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this one. I like both teams, so I'm rooting for either team. Home field probably matters in this one though too. Saw it last week.
Yeah,
but you mentioned the revenge aspect too, and I know this is something maybe for your job you don't love, but these players are not holding back with what they're telling the media about each other. Right? Deebo Samuel, Hassan Reddick, crazy comments going on. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's from an entertainment standpoint, it's awesome. But at the time that was happening last year, I didn't really love it. Like, you can think as much as you want, but I don't know. You're kind of opening yourself up to having a target on your back when you
building up the game, though. I love it.
No, yeah, if you're a sports talk, like I listen to the Bay Area sports station, and you can just tell they're eating this up this week, and why wouldn't they? So yeah, it's gonna be a big boy game, as they say, 125, and I'll. I'm going to try to see the fourth quarter, but
I'm not leaving my couch.
Family duty calls, that's okay. And don't worry, come playoff time, I'll be prioritizing watching it all. Canucks have hit a bit of a bump in the road. They've lost to Vegas. We saw them lose to the Seattle Kraken. Lions Den was on the screen there, and they lost to Calgary our first night. You were at the awards that night, but we got to the team parties, and the Stampeder House was showing the Flames taking the boots to the Canucks. But it's a long season, and we're going to see the Canucks in Wild a week from now, Thursday night. The whole content team's going.
December 8th or December 7th?
Whatever, the 7th.
7th, yeah, 'cause today's Friday. Yeah. My days are still mixed up. It's been a long week.
Less than a week from now.
It's been a long week. But yeah, we're all going. Liam and Steven, content team night out. Can't wait. I love going to the Canucks games this year, and it helps that they're this high-flying scoring team. So
yeah,
looking forward to it. So if you see us there, say hi.
Yeah, buy us a beer, if you will. Buy us a Molson Coors product if they have Coors with you. If they have them inside. I think they have them inside Rogers Arena, but I can't keep track these days. All right, thank you to Julio Caravetta, and to you, the listener, and. Yeah, just because it's the off season doesn't mean we're done. We'll be firing these out from time to time, and we're on Twitter. I'm at BakesTakes84. He is at Nick_Kowalski, at BC Lions on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. And all this content we're talking about video-wise, find it on the BC Lions YouTube channel. Until next time.